The winning formula, by the way, is producing a lot of these videos. Because if I've heard it once, I've heard it 1,000 times, that our clients will say, Jay, thank you for getting me to do these videos. We just got a great client. We just got a great case. And the woman told us she watched 5 or 6 of the videos and decided we were the right lawyer for her. So literally, you're giving the attorney a chance to meet the clients face to face in a video format when they're doing their research. And if they like you, they're gonna give you a call.
Yeah, and the thing that people miss a lot, they're nervous on video. You should be less nervous on video than you are in person because it's not live. And in what other part of your life can you be good like 10% of the time and that's considered a success, right? Like if you have to film a short video 10
Yeah.
times, the world's only going to see the good one. And then that's going to work for you 24/7.
Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Whatever time we find you today, welcome to the 10 Golden Rules of Internet Marketing for Law Firms podcast. I'm your host, Jay Berkowitz. We've got a great guest today, Pat Taggart. Before I get to Pat, very quickly, we've got some new announcements for TGR Live, Growth Strategies for Law Firms, our live event taking place March 10th and 11th, 2025 in beautiful Delray Beach, Florida. We're right on the ocean at the Opal Grand Hotel this year. It's going to be fantastic. Mike Morse, one of the first clients of EOS founder Gino Wickman, is going to be speaking about how he built a $200 million personal injury law firm. We recently added a new speaker. Charlie Mann is going to be doing his $500,000 referral engine playbook. And Charlie's awesome. If you haven't seen Charlie, Jeff Hampton has 16 million YouTube followers. Andy Seaver's the founder of Case Status. We've got an awesome lineup for TGR Live. You can find information at our website, 10goldenrules.com. And one other small favor, if you listen to these podcasts, if you watch our webinars, do us a favor. If you're on YouTube, please subscribe. Or if you're on iTunes or Spotify or Podbean, just give us a follow, a subscribe, whatever format. It helps us get great guests because they want to see that we have lots and lots of followers. So really appreciate that. Without further ado, Pat Taggart from SkyBlue Creative. Welcome to the 10 Golden Rules Internet Marketing for Law Firms podcast.
Jay, it is great to be here. When we first spoke, we talked about hockey for about 15 minutes. I know that's not going to be our focus today, but always nice speaking with a fellow hockey and marketing enthusiast.
Hey, look, I'm in my glory, and as long as the Winnipeg Jets are in first place, it's a good thing. We're actually at the quarter turn of hockey. If those NHL fans, I know this podcast won't come up for a few more weeks, but hopefully the Jets will still be in first place.
And hopefully my Flyers will learn how to hold on to a lead. But that is wishful thinking.
Yeah, we haven't played the Flyers yet, so I look forward to that.
Right on.
So you're Philly based. Yeah, tell us a little bit about your background and the company.
Yeah, so I get out of school just over half a lifetime ago. And so I'm a 22-year-old kid, and I very arbitrarily said I'm going to start a wedding video business, and then quickly realized you can't make wedding videos on Mondays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. So I said, boy, I better find something to do during the week. And that was naturally corporate video. And so I would go into these companies and meet these really engaging, intelligent people that were doing great work in the world. And you'd say, okay, now it's time to shoot some video. And we'd put them on camera and they would completely fall apart. And all the life just kind of drained out of them in front of me. And it turned into what looked like a hostage video. And I said, boy, we better figure this out really quickly, or we're not going to have very many clients. And Jay, honestly, it came down to two things. Number one, we were giving these people scripts. Either they wrote them internally or I came in and wrote them with them, and they didn't need to be scripted because the truth is that the story already exists. The story already exists in every law firm on the planet, right? In the partners, there's a kind of an underdog story for most of them where they started out and didn't have any clients and their family thought they were crazy. And then they kind of built it and made decisions that brought them to where they are today. And they all have their own unique approaches with how they deal with clients. And the problem is that when people say, hey, we're going to shoot a video today, it's like, okay, well, what do we say? What exactly do we say? And that's the wrong approach. I mean, I think that people can see through that anytime you put that on screen. If you're being kind of stiff and you're allowing yourself to go by a script, it just doesn't translate. So my number one piece of advice to people is always be yourself, be conversational, and let an editor figure out the rest of it, right? And then secondly, for some people, looking into the lens of a camera, depending on the application, is pretty unnerving. And so a lot of times we give our clients the option to look off camera and do things documentary style, where they don't have to look into the lens and they don't have to remember anything. And so just kind of changing those two things, making it conversational, has really dictated the work we've done for the last 23 years.
It's a great story. And I stumbled on the same answer to your earlier query, which was, what do I do Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday? I met a videographer at my BNI, our local networking group, and he was shooting wedding videos and a lot of baby pictures on the weekends. And I asked him if he'd come with me to an attorney's office and do some Q&A videos. So we've all come up with a similar result, basically, by just
Yeah.
asking the attorneys to answer the questions that they get asked all the time. What
Mhm.
if I get hit by an uninsured driver? We literally had a slip and fall in a cheesecake factory where the client slipped on cheesecake that the waiter dropped. And he ran to get the cleaning supplies and the person. Whoop. So by just telling stories and by just answering questions, the attorneys can perform really, really well.
Yeah.
And you mentioned something else. It's the why. We've also had a lot of attorneys tell their why story. And one guy he went to work in the insurance defense side, and they gave him a stack of files, and they said, well, just reject all these claims. He's like, what do you mean reject all these claims? He thought that there's like some fairness in insurance. And evidently, there's not. So you need the PI lawyer on your side. So he went and formed a personal injury clinic called Fighting for You and fighting for his clients. So those why stories make for great content as well, right?
They certainly do. And I think that really what you're looking for, because it's not like these videos exist in a vacuum. It's not like someone's going to watch your video and automatically hire you as an attorney. What you want is for someone to watch it and say, I like and trust this person. I want to have a conversation. And so you have to look at them like that. You have to look at them as a really great first impression, these videos. And you don't have to cram every single bit of information about who you are and what you do and all your specialties. Just focus on being authentic and creating a really great first impression. And then you get folks into your pipeline.
So the next question is, what are some tips for attorneys and any companies when they're filming videos? What are some of the things that the star on screen should do to prep for your video shoot?
Very little in order to prep from a content standpoint, because you know your content inside and out. Chances are this is stuff you're talking about every day. And I really believe that the more time you spend in thinking about your specific content, the worse your video is going to be. And that's just kind of played out over the last couple decades in working with people from every industry. But I would say number one, if you're filming yourself, right, make sure that you're lit up well. People always think that lighting is for brightness only. And that's not the case. Lighting is not for brightness only. A lot of it's to take away harsh shadows. And so I understand the desire to kind of do everything in-house. It certainly helps. Jay, I know that you've helped so many attorneys with this, creating content that looks and sounds the way that it should. But you want to make sure the lighting's right. You want to make sure sound's good, because people will forgive less than perfect video quality. They won't forgive bad sound. If they can't hear you, they're out. You sound like you're in a cave, people are gone. People's attention spans are this big right now. And so you just want to make sure that it doesn't have to look like a Hollywood film. You want to make sure that you're eliminating all of the distractions that'll take people away from your message and ultimately away from you. The other thing I would say is, sometimes attorneys, and I've worked with many attorneys over the years, they say, how should I dress? I say, well, how do you typically meet with clients? Not necessarily what you look like in a courtroom, but how do you meet with clients? Are you a shirt and a jacket guy, top button undone, no tie? Dress like that, right? And so you don't always have to be totally buttoned up if that's not your style. Are you a polo shirt type of guy? Great. Dress like that. What I always say is, as casual as your industry typically allows and as you would meet a client. because I feel like if people are more relaxed, then they feel a bit more approachable. And
I love
again, you're just trying to build
it.
trust.
I mean, you basically gave three answers that I give all the time. The
Oh,
first one is
yeah.
about the
Yeah.
setting, and we shoot a lot of videos in the client's office. Like, where do you meet with your clients? Do you meet with do they come into the boardroom? We'll shoot in the boardroom. Do you meet in your office? We'll
Yeah.
shoot in your office. We might clean it up a little bit. I might have a couple too many distractions.
Yeah.
Second thing is you said don't don't worry so much about the video, but make sure the audio is great because we won't listen to it. Like if we have to strain and I can't really hear this guy, I'm out. We'll watch skateboarding cats. Like the video doesn't really matter, but if you're going to hear someone answer a question, you got to hear the answer to the question. And then that's the third thing is a lot of times we just ask the attorneys to answer questions, like you said, in a very natural format. What do I do
Mhm.
if I get hit by an uninsured motorist? It's like relatively better be relatively easy for these guys to answer these questions. And then the winning formula, by the way, is producing a lot of these videos. Because if I've heard it once, I've heard it 1,000 times that our clients will say, Jay, thank you for getting me to do these videos. We just got a great client. We just got a great case. And the woman told us she watched 5 or 6 of the videos and decided we were the right lawyer for her. So literally you're giving the attorney a chance to meet the clients face to face in a video format when they're doing their research. And if they like you, they're gonna give you a call.
Yeah, and the thing that people miss a lot, they're nervous on video. You should be less nervous on video than you are in person because it's not live. And in what other part of your life can you be good like 10% of the time and that's considered a success, right? Like if you have to film a short video 10 times, the world's only going to see the good one. And then that's going to work for you 24/7. And so you shoot once, it works forever, and you have a chance to get it as close to perfect as possible, whereas we are never perfect when we're face to face.
I find that 19 out of 20 attorneys can do a great job.
Mhm.
And that 1 out of 20 is one of these two problems. And you maybe tell me if there's a way to overcome it. So
Okay.
problem number one is like, yeah, they are sort of nervous on video and they think they're doing a TV commercial. They think they have to talk like an announcer, or they think they have to do some sort of scripted thing. They get themselves so worked up. And
Yeah.
then the other one we have trouble overcoming is the sales guy who's got to overhype any of the results he's ever gotten for one client, and promise those kind of results for everyone. So how do you overcome the nervous commercial guy and the overhyped sales guy?
Yeah, I think that people build up this video thing so much. It's like next Thursday's my video day. Okay, I got 6 more days, 5 more days. Then they come in and they're wired. They're either super nervous or they're like way over energetic. One thing that I have people do all the time is I tell them, "Hey, listen, we're not going to record yet." If I could tell they're really nervous, let's just go through these things a few times and just get you warmed up, right? And then, of course, you are recording, and of course, they typically do kind of exhale a bit because they really do feel like once you hit record, man, it's like get it right or don't.
Yeah,
Like they're live on
that's a
the
good.
news. So something like that works. The other thing that I would say is that if you're engaging them in a conversation, you're going to get back as the interviewer, you're going to get back whatever from the interviewee, whatever you give. And so I never hold a list of questions. I'm not saying question one, question two. What I'm trying to do is get these folks to forget the cameras and gear as much as possible and engage them in a genuine conversation. I've always thought a list of questions is a barrier. As an interviewer, I should have done my homework and know what we're talking about. And I don't want them to know the questions in advance. And if they look too serious, I will smile at you until I look completely insane. And you have to, as a human being, smile back at me. And if you're talking too fast, I'm going to slow the cadence of my own voice to try to get you to match that. And so I think that you have whoever's on the other side of the camera, the world will never see you, but you have a huge responsibility and you can have a huge impact on the outcome of those conversations. Look, it's not easy for people. And I think we have to be empathetic to that and we have to help them along. Sometimes it's just as simple, Jay, as getting people to get up out of their chair and take a walk around the office, right? And finally, I will always tell people they are doing well, one or two questions in, even if they're not, because it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. If you say, "Hey, you do this a lot, you're really good at this," then you just see like the shoulders just relax. because people are so nervous for some of these things. So just tell them they're doing great, and then they will.
There's a lot of different places you can use videos as a law firm or any company, frankly. What are some of the different suggestions you have for using those videos?
Yeah. So I really think that every company, not just law firms, every company on the planet should have a video on the homepage of their website that tells people who they are, how they do what they do differently, and why they do it. And sometimes people say, "Oh, well, I'll put it on my About Us page. I'm not putting video on the homepage of my website." And I always say to them, "Hey, what if you walked out on the streets of whatever town you're in right now and found 10 people to give you a minute of their time? And then you gave those 10 people an option. You can either read this for 60 seconds or you can watch this 1-minute video. How many of you would bet the balance of your bank account for a chance to double up that at least half of those people would say, I prefer to read?" And I ask this in front of live audiences all the time, and nobody raises their hand. And then I say, well, why then won't you put video on the homepage of your website? If we all agree that it's people's preferred method to take in some sort of information or entertainment, then why not? It's like, oh, okay, yeah, why not? I really think that you have an opportunity to create a compelling experience on your website for people where text and video can become a really wonderful choreographed dance, where text can set up video, right? It should be like play by play and color commentary in sports where they play off each other. We have that option. We didn't have that option 10 or 15 years ago. Like it wasn't easy to embed video on websites. They didn't look good. They bogged everything down. Now they do. So I think there, video on the homepage is really, really wonderful. The other thing I would say is, and you hit on it earlier, I think it's so important. Story is kind of the international language. Story is the way that we get information and we entertain. Stories stick. So tell your stories. If you have great stories that you would tell friends at a restaurant about something you did for a client, that's something the rest of the world should probably hear because it lights up a different part of our brain. When you get me, for example, I listen to a lot of biographies and autobiographies. I rarely listen to business self-help books because I check out. But when someone's telling me a story, I'm locked in. I think there's a lot of people like that. So if you share your stories, then you can kind of work your competency into that rather than just saying, I get clients X, I get we get top dollar. Share a story about how you helped someone. And that information will be in there, but it's perceived in a completely different way.
So you touched on a few important things. You talked about the why, those why videos on the homepage. A lot of people go to the CRISP summit and they end up buying the 30 or $40,000 why videos. By the way, you don't necessarily need a $30,000 why video. And Pat could probably do it for slightly under 30,000. But telling your story is super powerful on the homepage. One thing I will slightly disagree on though is that there are two people who read text on a website. Maybe not in that audience that you took a poll, but the
Mhm.
first most important, who you do need a lot of text on your website for Mr. Google. So you definitely still need the text.
Correct.
I know one of my clients is going to come back to me and said, look, I heard Pat on your website. He said, you don't need any text on your website. Number one is,
No, 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 no. I
and the
do not think
second
that at
person,
all.
yeah. And the second person who reads text on the website is my old vice president. Because we used to go to a client meeting and she'd know all this stuff about the client. And the client and I would be sitting there and saying, how do you know that? She'd say, oh, I read your website. I'm like, oh, you're the person. But all joking aside, there are different personality types. And I believe
Yeah.
that there are some people who would choose to watch a video. There's some people who would choose to read the text. And then I'm a different personality type. I call it like a clicker. Like some people just want to find what they're looking for. They want to click to like the immediate answer. And I'll end up on like the third page trying to find the result quickly. But there's definitely video watchers, there's definitely text readers. And so your website has to have all those things for all those different people. So the homepage video is awesome. We do a lot of Q&A videos. So you could have a Q&A or a resources section on the website, FAQs, they're called on a website, but obviously a video FAQ plus the words explaining what was answered in the video is very good for SEO. We do a
If you
lot.
go to my website, SkyBlue Creative, Jay, sorry to interrupt you. I have a video FAQ page. I get more comments about those videos FAQs than I do about any other content on my website
Awesome.
because people get a real feel for who you are. You answer their questions, and it actually saves you a ton of time. So if you're an attorney and you're tired of answering the same questions over and over again, answer those questions, which is one of your specialties and what you help so many attorneys with. Answer those questions put them on your site, let people find them, and then when they come to you, they're more qualified.
And then there's a couple other things. So we also do these Q&A videos where people answer the commonly asked questions. We put them in social media. And so they work really, really well. There's no reason not to put those videos on your Facebook, your Twitter, your LinkedIn, your Instagram. And then we also do landing page videos. So like if you're doing pay-per-click, and I'll go back to the example of a personal injury attorney, on the motorcycle accident page, you can talk about what to do after a motorcycle accident. On the truck accident page, you can talk about your specialty with truck accidents and what people can do after a truck accident. So there's a ton of different uses for video, and it's such a powerful medium today. You really want to get a video solution into your marketing mix.
For sure. I'm
Um,
biased though, Jay.
so
Very
yeah,
biased.
tell me if someone doesn't have any video,
Yeah.
what are the first two or three things that someone should do if they're like a solo, they're just starting out, they don't have a big budget? You mentioned you can do it yourself. How does somebody go about, what are the top two or three things they should do?
Yeah. And if you're going to do it yourself, one of the biggest impediments people say is all I have is a cell phone. Behind me in a cabinet, I have a camera I bought a little over 10 years ago for $7,000. That's now a paperweight. Like it's the camera in your pocket is worlds better than that $7,000 camera from a decade ago. So that's not an excuse. And for about $100, you can get accessories on Amazon, a light, a tripod, and a microphone that interfaces with your phone. That is going to up your production value immensely. So barrier to entry equipment no longer no longer plays, and you can find so many how-tos on YouTube. So then it just comes down to willingness. And a lot of people don't put themselves on camera because they don't like the sound of their voice and they don't like the look of their face on video. By the way, same voice people take into meetings, same face people take into meetings all the time. Just don't watch your content. It's not for you, right? If you're creating content to consume yourself, then you're a sociopath. So just create it, put it out in the world, and let the people that can benefit from it consume that content. And I would say if you're going to get started, first thing would a really obviously logical place to start is if you're an attorney, why did you become an attorney?
So
Right?
all you
What do you
need
love?
is a cell phone, a mic,
Yeah.
cell phone, a mic, a tripod, and a light.
Yep.
So you can get
I
one of
don't
those.
like a ring light. Yep.
Yeah, and all of that is under $100. And the
$100. You can
tripod,
find, yeah.
just a lot of them, there a lot of them now are tripods with a ring light, and it's got the little cell phone holder right there in the ring light. But
Beautiful thing.
definitely
Yep.
want to have unless you have a really good sound effective room, you want to get one of those lavalier mics. And the remote lavalier mic just plugs into your cell phone, and
Mhm.
it works fantastically.
That's
Um,
right. And yeah, be cognizant also, you brought up sound, be cognizant of the room you're recording in. Best thing you can do is go into a room you plan to record in and just talk for a little bit, see if there's reverb, and then listen for a little bit and see if there's voices drifting in. A room that has all hard surfaces, so hard floors, no furniture, no rug, that's typically going to be a little bit reflective for sound. So soft surfaces help to absorb a lot of that. It's what sound panels on walls do. And so be cognizant of that. You also don't want a busy background. So if there's kind of people constantly walking by, if there's a television in the background, again, we're trying to keep the focus on you and your message. So don't be too concerned with, oh, my background's kind of boring. Boring is better than busy every day of the week.
yeah, one picture on the wall or something like that's great. Fantastic. All right, so maybe now give me the super advanced strategy. If somebody's done a lot of video, what's the elite video strategy that you would recommend for an attorney?
The elite video strategy, in my opinion, is if you're going to use a pro, do a content day. The mistake that I see people make all the time is they say, I'm going to get some help to create this one video, right? We talked about the brand video earlier, or whatever you want to call it, your why video. Well, if you're going to be in the chair, you and or partners are going to be in the chair and you're going to spend the money on production and you're going to look great and sound great, you might as well knock out a ton of content because with one day of content production, both kind of on camera conversations and B-roll, you can fill your social media pipeline for a year or two. You could take your website from a little bit or no video to best in market video with 1 day of time. And it's not you for an entire day, 8 hours, right? It's you in a chair for probably 45 minutes or an hour, and then some B-roll and some partners in the chair, maybe. So it's not a huge investment of time. And then you leave it to creative people to go back and create both short form and long form evergreen content that can work for you 24/7. That's how I found people gotten the best bang for their buck. And Jay, a lot of times from those conversations in the chair, you're going to wind up with stuff that you didn't even plan on in advance, which is why I don't believe in hard planning these things. You want to get aligned on kind of what the key stories are and what you want to come away with, but leave a lot of room for spontaneity because conversation will take you in directions and stories will emerge that you would have never thought of in a planning meeting.
Now we've talked a lot about the hardcore business videos, the why video on the homepage, the frequently asked questions style videos that are going to convert prospects who get to your website. What about the social media videos that are going to get some attention? Any ideas for how you can find that magic of a video that goes viral on social media?
Well, I wish I had a very clear formula for that because there's such a randomness to what goes viral. What I will say is that one thing for people to think about if they want to just kind of regularly post and share their thoughts, mount a GoPro in your car and just record as you're driving. So if people have a commute to and from the office, I've seen a lot of folks where they just get a suction cup, put one of those things up
Yeah.
on their dash, and every day or so they just hit record and just tell a story about what they're working on. And you're just kind of letting people into your world. It's not taking you any additional time then. You don't have to budget for it. And what you wind up with is really authentic conversational stuff because it can't be anything else while you're driving, right?
Yeah.
And for
Yeah.
whatever reason, it's really interesting to watch people drive. Now, clean your car up a little bit, right? You don't want to
Yeah.
have a bunch of junk laying all over the back seat of your car. But I've seen a lot of people find success with something like that.
One of the things that's worked well for us is we find that almost every lawyer has those two or three great stories from their
Mhm.
career
Yeah.
that are remarkable. There's nothing funny about most lawyers' stories, but it is, it is often like the good cocktail party or bar association mixer story that they tell. And we've had everything from someone slipping on cheesecake at Cheesecake Factory to someone slipping on banana peels at a Walmart to the guy who his client got hit and he went and did some research and he found out that the person who hit his client posted a video of himself smoking weed at a pizza delivery job 30 minutes before the accident. And he was smoking weed at work and had to deliver pizzas quickly. So it was all the makings for a great case.
Oh boy.
So any other
Stories
ways
stick.
that you can come up with those remarkable stories?
Yeah, we kind of did the same one time. There's a company called TickPick, and they are like StubHub, where you can go in and buy tickets.
Yeah.
And at one point, they were missing the Upper Peninsula of Michigan on the map, and somebody wrote in to their customer service and said, "Hey, you're missing the UP." And they said, "Well, don't worry, we have the important part of Michigan." They thought they were being funny. Overnight, the company's Facebook rating went from like a 4.4 to like a 1.8, and it just kept getting shared. Hey, go on and write a one-star review, one-star review. And so the next morning, the CEO comes in and he's like, "Oh my God, like this is awful. What are we gonna do?" And then somebody from the Upper Peninsula said, "Hey, if you come up here, try one of our kind of native foods and
Yeah.
meet us at this bar, maybe we could turn this thing around." And this guy from New York City jumped on a plane, went up. It's just this great story. So I heard about it and I said, why don't we tell that story? Had nothing to do with what they do, had nothing to do with
Yeah.
tickets. Long story short, that video now, the Tick Pick UP or Upper Peninsula video, you'll find it on YouTube. It has millions of views. It has more views than a campaign they did with Ric Flair. And why? Because the story is remarkable. Because if you're talking specifically about what you do, that information is only relevant to people that may want to consume what you do. If you tell a great story, your audience potential is the entire world because people love to be like to laugh or be entertained or be touched in some way. So tell your stories as much as you can and you'll find that it will become shareable and that's what leads to viral.
Yeah. Storytelling's awesome. Well, we've come to the time when I ask you the quick one liners. So First one, any apps or techniques you use for personal productivity?
Man, this is like so kind of digital analog, but the notes section of my phone is my favorite piece of tech
Yeah,
because I have all my kind of standard responses to people in there that I can then copy, paste, and personalize, and it saves me so much time.
that's great. Well, I opened Evernote where I have my questions for this interview.
There you
Um,
go.
do you have a personal wellness and fitness routine?
I do. Yeah. So I played ice hockey 3 to 4 days a week. I'm 45 up until about 4 months ago, and then found out that my back was really jacked up. So I build in morning core every single morning. I wake up and start with core. If I did that, I would still be on the ice. It's just so dang good, and I just never paid attention to everybody that told me to do it. So every
Yeah,
morning is stretching and core before I do anything else.
yeah. There's definitely an age limit for hockey. I hit that a couple years ago too. What do you recommend as your best business books?
I'll give you 3 really quickly. The E-Myth by Michael Gerber is a classic. It helps you if you're wearing all the hats, it helps you figure out which hat you should be wearing and how to delegate that. The Surrender Experiment, which isn't maybe technically a business book, but it's by Michael Singer, and it just kinda it sounds foo-foo, but it's about realizing that the universe is in charge, and sometimes you just have to let go and go with the flow a little bit than trying to fight everything that comes your way, and it leads you to some really good things. And then finally, Unreasonable Hospitality by Will Guidara is the story about how they turned around a restaurant in New York City and made it the best restaurant in the world. And it's about really paying attention to your clients and your customers and trying to create memorable experiences for them.
I love it. Good ones. Well, E-Myth is mentioned on almost every single one of these podcasts. The other two I'll check out. Thank you for those.
For sure.
What blogs, podcasts, and YouTubes do you subscribe to? And when it hits your feed, you're like, drop everything. I got to listen to the latest 10 Golden Rules podcast over.
Yeah, 10 golden
Or
rules,
another.
first and foremost, of course. And then after that, I bounce around a little bit. So for a while, I was on Spittin' Chicklets, which is a hockey
Yeah.
podcast, which doesn't have anything to do with business, but sometimes I just want to kind of check out.
For funny
Eh,
guys, yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, and listen. I really enjoyed Joe Rogan's podcast, which I'm sure a lot of people mentioned, just because I love the conversational style. I
Yeah.
love long form interviews, and I think they get really kind of interesting guests on there. So those would probably be my 2 most listened to.
Do you know the story of the vodka? Spittin' Chicklets came up with a vodka.
Oh, yeah, I've had some. I may have had some, Jay.
What's it called?
Pink
Pink
Whitney.
Whitney. Pink Whitney. And supposedly it's like a multi-million dollar product that they have a rev share that came out of a conversation on the podcast.
It
And
is, and it's dirt cheap, and it's actually pretty good.
I think it's like a Canadian thing. Like we used to drink pink lemonade and vodka in the summers, and like whoever else was on the podcast hadn't heard of that. And then they went to one of their sponsors and they came up with this pink lemonade and vodka. It was very, very successful. Pink
Yeah, I
Whitney.
think it's like 12 or
Yeah.
13 bucks, and,
Never had it. I got to check it out.
it's pretty dang good. You gotta throw it in the freezer first. It needs to be cold.
Yeah. I always ask NFL team. I mean, but you're Philly guys, so Eagles, Panthers, or sorry, Flyers, right?
Eagles, I have an Eagles.
Philly
I'm
team.
not sure if it's in the shop, but it's right over my shoulder. Eagles, of course. Not a huge NBA guy. I think those guys cry and flop too much. I love
Yeah.
college hoops, but Flyers, Phillies, Eagles for sure.
And last question: what's a great introduction for you? Who should we refer over to you, and where do people find you?
Yeah, I think it's folks that want to go from little to no video to best in class video that don't want to have to spend a lot of time planning on what to say. Again, I think the story already exists. And so it's really folks that want to kind of go all in on video and create content that's going to work for them while they're sleeping. Best way to find me, kind of twofold. SkyBlueCreative.com is the site. You can contact me directly through there. And then also LinkedIn. So Pat Taggart, you can find me on LinkedIn, Taggart. Love engaging in conversations through LinkedIn. I love to post a bit on LinkedIn and share a little bit about what we're up to.
Thanks so much for your time today. It was great.
Jay, I had a lot of fun. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for listening to the 10 Golden Rules of Internet Marketing for Law Firms podcast. Please send questions and comments to podcast@10goldenrules.com. That is podcast@tengoldenrules.com.